I need you to listen to me carefully, and I need you to stay grounded while you do. When I was deeply involved in witchcraft, there were specific 3-day windows that were marked for focused activity. Not because those days were magically powerful on their own, but because concentrated intention over a short period creates intensity. Tuesday to Thursday was often used as a pressure cycle. It was short enough to stay focused, long enough to build momentum. I remember sitting in meetings where we were told, don't try to destroy everything at once. Apply pressure in waves. The strategy was never about dramatic events. It was about escalation. Day 1, introduce irritation. Day 2, amplify misunderstanding. Let me explain what those 3-day cycles were actually designed to do, because once you understand the pattern, it loses its power over you. The objective was never instant destruction. It was emotional escalation. On Tuesday, the goal was subtle irritation, small inconveniences, minor misunderstandings, delays, fatigue, a misplaced comment, a financial reminder at the wrong moment. Nothing dramatic, just enough to create internal tension. The idea was simple: plant a seed. By Wednesday, the focus shifted to amplification. If irritation was not addressed calmly, it would grow. That small comment turns into defensiveness. That minor delay becomes frustration. That financial reminder triggers fear. Emotional reactions begin stacking on top of one another. Atmosphere starts to feel heavy. By Thursday, if the household had reacted instead of responded, the environment was primed for division. Arguments escalate, harsh words are spoken, peace feels distant. And here is the key: most people would never trace it back to a coordinated pressure cycle. They would simply say, "This has been a bad week." That was the strategy. Not lightning from the sky, not obvious supernatural manifestations, just pressure layered over time until people break their own peace. Darkness understands something many believers forget. Humans multiply what they focus on. If you focus on offense, offense grows. If you focus on fear, fear expands. If you focus on peace, peace strengthens. These 3-day windows depended entirely on reaction. If a husband chose humility instead of pride on Tuesday, the cycle weakened. If a mother responded gently instead of sharply on Wednesday, the escalation stalled. If a family paused and prayed instead of arguing on Thursday, the assignment collapsed. That's why I'm not warning you to make you anxious. I'm exposing the structure so you recognize the pattern before it unfolds. Because once you recognize a pattern, you stop participating in it. And in the next chapter, I'm going to show you exactly how to neutralize a 3-day pressure cycle before it ever reaches Thursday. Now that you understand the pattern, let me show you how to dismantle it, not with fear, not with superstition, but with steady authority. The mistake most believers make is waiting until Thursday to respond. By then, emotions are already layered. Words have already been exchanged. Atmosphere has already shifted. The key is intervention on day 1. If Tuesday brings irritation, you do not react, you reset. You pause. You breathe. You refuse to magnify the inconvenience. When something small goes wrong, say out loud, calmly, "Peace stays here." That may sound simple, but spoken intention stabilizes atmosphere. You are declaring alignment instead of agreeing with agitation. On Wednesday, when amplification tries to build, This is where unity becomes critical. If you are married, guard your tone. If you are leading a household, monitor your words. Darkness feeds on sharp responses. It cannot multiply what you refuse to release. Sometimes the most powerful spiritual warfare is a gentle answer. If tension rises, interrupt it with prayer, not dramatic prayer, not shouting, just deliberate alignment. Even 30 seconds of intentional prayer resets spiritual direction. You are not begging for protection, you are enforcing it. By Thursday, if you have handled Tuesday and Wednesday correctly, there is nothing left to escalate. The cycle starves. This is what frustrated occult systems the most calm believers. People who refuse to spiral, people who apologize quickly, people who choose unity over ego, people who will not entertain suspicion. Pressure only works when it finds agreement. When it meets composure instead, it collapses. And let me say something important. If you notice tension already building as you hear this message, it is not too late. The moment you become aware, you regain authority. Awareness breaks unconscious participation. In the next chapter, I need to address something deeper: why households under chronic stress become easier targets for repeated cycles, and how to strengthen your home so these patterns stop recurring altogether. Now we need to go deeper because occasional pressure is one thing, but repeated cycles are another. When I was involved in witchcraft, there were households marked as responsive environments. That phrase meant something very specific. It meant the home reacted predictably. The same triggers produced the same explosions. The same stressors produced the same arguments. The same financial tension produced the same fear response. In other words, the household had patterns. And patterns are predictable. If Tuesday irritation always led to Wednesday arguments and Thursday silence, the cycle didn't even require heavy reinforcement. The reactions were already conditioned. The pressure simply nudged what was already there. This is why some families feel like they live in constant spiritual warfare. It isn't always because of higher level attacks. Often, it's because unresolved stress becomes a doorway that stays slightly open. Unhealed resentment, chronic financial anxiety, unspoken disappointment, exhaustion that never gets addressed. When these things remain unprocessed, they create fragile ground. And fragile ground cracks under pressure. But here is the powerful truth: cycles can be retrained. When a husband chooses humility in a moment where he previously reacted with pride, the pattern weakens. When a wife speaks gently where she previously escalated, the atmosphere shifts. When parents apologize in front of their children, instead of defending themselves, generational change begins. You are not just fighting a 3-day window, you are retraining the emotional reflexes of your home. After I left witchcraft, I observed something that dismantled fear for me. Homes that practiced consistent gratitude and quick reconciliation became extremely difficult to influence. Not because they were perfect, but because they were flexible. They bent instead of snapping. Darkness looks for rigidity. Authority grows in humility. If you want repeated cycles to stop, you don't only pray against them, you replace them with new habits. You introduce weekly family prayer. You schedule financial planning conversations instead of letting money trigger surprise stress. You create safe space for honest dialogue. Structure stabilizes atmosphere. And once a household becomes stable, 3 day pressure windows lose their effectiveness. In the next chapter, I'm going to show you what to do if you're already in the middle of a cycle right now, if tension is high, emotions are raw, and you feel like Thursday has already arrived. Now let's speak honestly. Some of you are not preparing for Tuesday, you are already in Thursday. The tension has already happened. The words have already been spoken. The atmosphere already feels heavy. So, what do you do when the cycle is active? First, you stop escalating it. When I was in witchcraft, escalation was everything. If two people were already upset, the goal was to push them 1 degree further. One sharper sentence, one more accusation, one more defensive response. Because once pride locks in, reconciliation becomes harder. So if you feel the tension right now, the first act of authority is silence. Not passive aggressive silence, not cold withdrawal, intentional de-escalation. You pause the conversation, you say, "We need a reset." That phrase alone can interrupt momentum. You are refusing to feed the fire. Second, you own your part quickly. Darkness thrives in blame. The moment someone says, "Maybe I reacted wrong," the spiritual temperature drops. Accountability weakens accusation. Humility suffocates pride. Third, you cleanse the atmosphere intentionally. Walk through your home and pray calmly. Not shouting, not dramatic warfare language, just deliberate peace. Say, "This home belongs to God. Peace governs here." Keep it simple. Authority does not need theatrics. Fourth, restore physical order. This may sound practical, but disorder feeds stress. Clean the kitchen, make the bed, open the windows, play worship quietly. Stability in the physical environment reinforces stability internally. Chaos shrinks when structure returns. Here is what I learned after leaving the occult cycle's collapse, when people refuse to continue them. Even if Wednesday was intense, Thursday does not have to explode. Even if harsh words were spoken, reconciliation can still happen within hours. There is no rule that says a bad morning must become a bad week. The enemy counts on delay. Delay in apology, delay in prayer, delay in humility. So move quickly. If you need to send a text saying, "I'm sorry," send it. If you need to gather your family for 5 minutes of prayer, do it. If you need to sit quietly and ask God to steady your heart, start there. Momentum works both ways. Pressure can escalate, but peace can spread just as fast. In the final chapter, I want to leave you with something stronger than a warning. I want to give you a framework so that Tuesday to Thursday alerts no longer intimidate you at all.